Follow up. The
Follow up.
fortune's in the follow up. That's what we're talking about, you guys.
Today we're talking about follow up and how can you get the most out of your leads through follow up. They say the gold is in the follow up. Glenn,
Yes.
what do the people need to know about following up with their leads? Because most of them aren't doing it, is what I hear.
No,
Little birdie told me.
they're not. I'm thinking back. I'm thinking back to some of these previous videos we've done talking about activity level, talking about CRM, talking about the dialer could potentially be, again, a piece of your follow-up. I said in the activity level video that it's the number one thing that is the difference between being successful and failure, whether that's buying leads or your insurance career in general. We have a huge failure rate here in the industry. And I think activity level is a big part of that. But activity level and follow-up, they really go hand in hand in my. It is very much so two wings of the same bird. I think that follow-up is so critical with a lead. It really makes the difference most of the time between being profitable or not being profitable. And I want to talk about some statistics that I've personally seen at Lead Heroes with real insurance clients that we're working with. When I'm talking to someone, and if they tell me that they're trying to just do one call closes, which you might think that's crazy, but there are agencies and agents out there who refuse to talk to someone more than one time. There are agents and agencies out there that have this belief that I'm either going to sell this person when I talk to them the first time, or I will never talk to them again. And they believe that that's how they make the most money and they're most efficient, by operating under that idea. I can't tell you how wrong that is, though.
Yeah.
From what I've seen statistically, when someone talks to someone the first time, they're probably only going to have about a 5% close rate.
Yep.
3 to 5% is what I would tell you if you plan on just talking to someone one time. If you talk to someone 5 to 10 times potentially, right? And maybe it's only 2 or 3 times, maybe it is 5 to 10 times. It just depends on the prospect. Your closing percentage skyrockets from 3 to 5%. Now you're up to 15 to 20%. It is a huge increase. Most people don't want to transact business on that first phone call. They might not know you yet. It might be a bit of a trust building process. Or maybe there's something that needs to be done before the sale can actually happen. Oh, yes, we want this, but my husband's not here. Oh, I would love to do this, but I don't get paid until next month. And once I get paid, then I can sign up for this final expense policy. There can be all sorts of reasons why you can't transact business on that very first phone call. The follow-up is literally going to generate you 3 to 4 times, 5 times, maybe even more sales. And it's been proven over and over and over again. You don't have to take my word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own research if you don't believe me. It's been proven 100 times over that if you follow up consistently, and this could be, again, automated follow-up. Maybe you're using a CRM that's sending out drip marketing, right? Drip emails, drip text messages. Maybe you have a virtual assistant that's doing follow-up on your behalf. You already tried calling them 5 times. You're done. You hand it off to a virtual assistant, and they will keep following up with that person until that person says they are interested in talking to you again, and then they hand it back to you. There's so many ways of doing follow-up. That being said, Christian, talk to me about your follow-up process, or what you would recommend to an agency owner or to a Medicare agent or a final expense agent when it comes to follow-up.
I think for me, when I was selling actively full-time, there were so many times where by me following up, it was something that was the only thing for certain periods of time that would bring in business, just like by continuously following up when things were a little slow, when things were a little dry, maybe in the off season outside of AEP. And I got down to a science with it, right? So as many of you guys probably do, I used an online calendar. Highly recommend using an online calendar. To this day, I live by my calendar. I'm a bit of a slave to my calendar. If there's something on my
He really
calendar,
is.
I'm going to be there for it. Like, I'm not late to things. I'm going to be there for it. Like, I'm not going to forget about it. Like, I go by my calendar, exclusively throughout the day. It's my guide. When I start the day, I really usually don't have any clue what I'm going to be doing that day. My calendar takes me where I need to go. And that was the way it was back then too. It's just I had a lot
Yeah.
less on my calendar because I was, not as busy as I am today. But I would I would schedule my follow-ups for certain days on the calendar. So if I need to follow up with somebody next week, it goes on the calendar for next week as a reminder. If I need to follow up with somebody in 6 months, right? Maybe I need to follow up with somebody for a year. I would try to follow up with anybody I could that gave me the time of day. Now, I do think there is such a thing as, I think there's a balance with this because some people will waste your time. And this happened to me early on as an agent, but I think that's few and far between. I think for the most part, following up has 9 out of 10 times good results. Again, it kind of goes together with the conversation we had about activity. But following up, guys, like there were so many people in my career where maybe they were working when they were turning 65, but we had a great conversation, and I would say, "Hey, would it be all right if I followed up with you in a year and see if anything's changed with your work situation?" I'd call them back in a year. Nothing's changed. I'd do the same thing. I'd call them back next year. I'm spending very little time on this, by the way. It's not like I'm investing a ton of time. I'm just, once a year making these calls. I get back with them and they're finally ready to retire. They remember me. They're impressed. I've been checking in once a year and boom, I get 2 clients, right? Very little time investment on my end. So sometimes follow up can even be playing that long game, right? Because future you will thank past you for taking the extra 2 minutes to put that follow up in your calendar. And that's really all it takes.
Yeah, I think when it comes to agents that I've worked with, and again, if an agent gets a hold of me and they're not having success with insurance leads that they bought from Lead Heroes, my very first question to that agent is, how many times did you try calling the leads? How many times did you try following up, right? I mean, that's essentially what the question is. And if you're not tracking your follow-up and you can't answer that question, I immediately know that you're not doing follow-up. Now, is it possible that there's an agent that's hammering the follow-up and they're not organized? That's possible, but typically if you are doing true follow-up, you have some sort of trackability, some sort of stats. The agents who impress me with that, where I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, okay, I know what's going on now, and now I have a better idea of how I can help you. Those are the agents that are telling me, hey, I've tried calling this lead 7 times. All these other leads I've tried calling 6 times already. This is what I've seen. This many said no. This many people said call me back. That's the type of follow-up that makes a huge difference in your success with buying insurance leads.
Yep.
Guys, if you have missed any of these videos, you can find them on Christian Brindle's YouTube channel. Day 1 through 11, you can see all these gold nuggets that Christian and I have shared on how you can be successful when buying insurance leads. It can be intimidating, spending money on marketing and not sure what your ROI will be, how quickly you'll get that back. This mini course has been designed to give you the best possible chance at that big fat ROI where you're seeing that money come back in with these $17 leads for a limited time. $17 fixed cost, call verified, exclusive final expense, Medicare supplement, and turning 65 leads. Click the link below. Take advantage of this limited time offer before it expires on May 27th. And if you're not already following along, stay tuned and check out our next videos. They'll be dropping here shortly. Until next time, you guys, happy selling.